Hi guys, today we're going to talk about the imperative. The imperative is a verb tense that's used to give commands or make suggestions. Here are some examples. Allons à la bibliothèque. Let's go to the library. And this here is the verb aller put in the imperative tense. Notice that there is no subject pronoun like nous or je or tu. The imperative tense is a verb tense that's used all by itself without any subject pronoun. Let's look at the next example. Téléphonez à votre père. Call your father. Again, téléphoner is a verb placed in the imperative tense. So, the imperative can only be conjugated for vous, nous, and tu. Let's start with vous. If I were talking to someone who I was going to call vous, that would be someone I wanted to be very polite to, maybe my boss, or someone I met on the street who I didn't know, or I could be talking to a group of people to say vous, because it's also a plural way of saying you. I would conjugate the imperative in this way. Here are some examples. Aidez votre frère. Help your brother. This is an ER verb, and notice that I conjugate aider exactly the same way as I always would for vous. Vous aidez, you help. Aidez votre frère, help your brother. For our IR verbs like choisir, I would say choisissez un livre. Choose a book. And again, this is conjugated exactly the same way as we normally would for vous. And then for our RE verbs, attendez le bus, wait for the bus. Again, I've conjugated attendre just like I always would for vous. So there's no change. We're just using these verb tenses without the word vous in front of it. For nous, it's the same thing. We conjugate our ER, IR, and RE verbs just the same way as we always would for nous. Here, when we're using the imperative in the nous form, we're saying let's do something. We're suggesting something. So if I were to say aidons notre ami, I would be saying let's help our friend. And that's our ER verb with aidons being conjugated just the same way as we always would for nous. For our IR verbs, like choisir, I could say choisissons un bon restaurant. Let's choose a good restaurant. And for our RE verbs, I could say attendons Jacques. Let's wait for Jack. For tu, it gets a little bit trickier. If I'm giving a command or making a suggestion to someone I would call tu, then for IR and RE verbs, our conjugations stay the same as always. So for IR verbs like choisir, choisis un film. Choose a film. For RE verbs like attendre, attends les enfants. Wait for the kids. But for ER verbs, we have a slight change. Aide tes copains. Wait for your friends. And look, normally we would conjugate an ER verb with an ES ending for tu, but we've dropped the S. So that works for ER verbs, and that also works for any other verb like ouvrir, where the conjugation for tu normally ends in es, like ouvre, tu ouvres, you open. We drop the s, and we get ouvre la porte, open the door. Also, for our only irregular ER verb, aller, normally we would say tu vas, you go, but to say go, we drop the s. And we say, va au café, go to the cafe. And the only time that we would keep the S is in a case like this, where our conjugation for tu of the verb to go, va, is followed by a vowel or a word beginning with a vowel and is connected with a dash. I know that's kind of complex, but you guys have seen this before. Vas-y, go there. And so we keep that S to keep the sound, the Z sound in between the va and the I. vas-y. For negation in the imperative, it's quite simple. We just put the ne and the pas around the verb, just like always. So if I want to tell someone what not to do or suggest that someone doesn't do something, I could say, n'attends pas les enfants. Don't wait for the kids. Or, ne regardons pas ce film. Let's not watch this movie. So hopefully today's video has helped you to understand how to use the imperative tense. As always, if you have any questions at all, please let me know.